guys, it's your girl AJ, the Glamour Witch, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about ancestor work. Yes! So, there's a across the board consensus that ancestor work was what you guys wanted to learn more about, talk more about, and expand in your spiritual path. That as well as protection workings, which will be the next video that I do. I'm going to do some protection magic and show you guys how to use things like figure candles and stuff like that as a form of spell work and different practices as well to kind of, you know, specify certain aspects of protection for you, okay? So today's video is going to be on ancestor work. Let me turn this down just because it's loud for me in this mug, and I got a heater going in here because I'm in the back part of the house where there ain't no heat coming on this side, so your girl gotta stay warm, okay? Let's talk about why ancestor work or connecting with your ancestors are so important and can be so beneficial. And I have notes here, so every once in a while I'm gonna be looking down. I feel like one of the most powerful benefits is understanding your ancestral lineage and understanding your ancestral trauma and the things that keep getting kind of cycled over and over again in your, in your line, right? It can be a really great way to work through that so that you're not continuously dealing with this and passing it along to your other, to your offspring, your children, and to even understand why you have certain gifts, why you have certain feelings, emotions, whatever the case may be, that you struggle with, or maybe things about yourself that you don't really understand because there's not anyone around you who really gets that. You could be tapped into another ancestor or a ancestor who also experienced those same things. So having contact with those ancestors who maybe were into spiritual work, maybe they were energy healers, maybe they were psychics, maybe they were witches, it can be really beneficial in supporting you in where you are now. Even if things like creative aspects, so music and art and all these things that maybe you have an innate gift for, that there's not really anyone else in your family who does have these gifts, tapping into ancestors and working with ancestors can actually help you hone into those gifts and find the ancestor even who passed it along to you and gave it to you, and to be able to work alongside them to enhance and to increase the power of whatever gifts that you currently have. Okay, so that's like, there's a lot of benefits from having ancestors on your team, in your corner, right? Working through ancestral trauma and finding your ancestral power ally, right? And then another one is for the obvious reasons is protection and being able to be warned when there's something going on around you that needs to be adjusted or needs to be fixed, right? When we have access to our ancestors and we have access to this other world, knowledge, they can see and understand what's going on around us and kind of give us a clue in on what maybe is not working and what needs to change in our environment so that we can be the best version of ourselves and have the lives that we want. Having somebody there that's like, something's going on, you know what I mean? Or, whatever, like, this person is not for you, for your highest good, is always beneficial at any point in time, I'm telling you. And obviously for protection, to look out for you, to protect you, to guide your steps, to protect your family, your space, and to really hold space for you, and kind of create this kind of safe container for you to practice magic or to just do whatever you're doing in your life. It's always great to have that ancestral protection, right? Also for aiding you in spell workings or any type of spiritual work that you may be doing, right? Because asking your ancestor, your spirit guides, to help you with whatever spell that you may be. Maybe you're casting a spell for money, maybe you're casting a spell for love or good luck or good fortune or whatever the case may be. Having your ancestors on your team is really, really beneficial and can create a lot of positive flow towards your energy, can create a lot of positive flow towards your spiritual work and your magical work that's directed by a force or a spiritual support system that is already looking out for your highest and greatest good, okay? So, sometimes you ask a deity or an entity or a spirit that doesn't really have any connection to you and doesn't really need to give a fuck about you for something, you might not feel like they, you know, you have that rapport, or like they're looking out for the best interest of you, or you know, they don't really care necessarily about you as much as it is that they're going to do this service for you and you're going to give them something in return, or they're going to do this thing for you because you asked them to, or whatever the case may be, right? So ancestors, they support you, they love you, they're here for your highest elevation. We're going to get into more of that. They're just a better thing, a better spirit to, in my opinion, to work alongside first before you start getting into deity work and all those other things. It's a better idea for you to have some type of a connection to your ancestors and be working alongside them than to be, you know, trying to call on everybody else, because they also are going to look out for you. Like, you know, especially if you do start working with other spirits, they're going to be like, you know, be able to maybe have a little bit more pull in the spirit realm to help assist you with certain things. You know what I mean? So that's one aspect of it. And also, this is something that I do in my practice, is when I need to do like Reiki energy healing on myself, or there's something that's going on energetically with me, I will ask my ancestors, who are shamans and spiritual leaders and spiritual healers, to be in the space and actually do energy work on me and like give me like a Reiki session when I'm not really feeling like I can kind of hold it. And I've actually felt a lot of support from those specific ancestors in moments where I was just completely feeling disconnected, not tapped in, not dialed in to what's going on. And to have them kind of wash over me with this positive energy, and to kind of be able to go in and see exactly what's going on energetically with me and move things around was so beneficial. So using them for healing and energy work is a really great way to, you know, access your ancestral gifts, right? Or excuse me. Mercury retrograde is getting me. It's getting me, you guys. Accessing your ancestors for that specific thing can be very beneficial in your overall spiritual health, okay? I'm getting assigned to slow down. So let's talk about an ancestor altar, and then I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts and all this other stuff, okay? Having an ancestor altar is like having a control panel, right? Not in this specific situation, but altars, period, any type of altar that you use is meant to be like a control panel, so that you can spiritually connect spiritually in a mundane sense, right? Having a money altar and having candles and crystals and stuff like that you work, and there's things that you can actually see and put energy towards this thing, allows you to be more connected to that energy and to your finances, to what's going on, and actually be able to see in real time what's working, what's not, what's going bad, what's not, all these things, right? So that's why these things are so important and so valuable, is because having this center point, or this access point where you are now leaving the mundane and stepping into the spiritual, is how we can tap into certain vibrational frequencies, and also with spirits and our ancestors as a whole, right? So having an ancestor altar is no different. It allows you to have a space in which you are able to communicate and open the portal in which you talk to your ancestors. So having an ancestor altar is really beneficial in that it gives you a place to go. It creates a vibrational frequency around that area and that space, calling in that ancestral energy, instead of it just being like you talking to the wind. And of course, you can always talk to your ancestors and speak to them in your everyday life and acknowledge them and honor them and love them, even when you're not at the altar, of course. But having a meeting and having a real conversation and really trying to connect with them, it's important to start there, right? It's important to have a space where you go to specifically to just talk to your ancestors. So let's talk about what's on the altar, okay? Most importantly, I would say wherever you're gonna have this altar, make sure, and this is something I'm gonna talk about later on, but make sure wherever you have this altar, there's not a heavy traffic area around this place. If you live in a studio apartment and you don't have a lot of space, create a like barrier around it get a curtain rod and hang it in, if it's in the corner or something like that. Hang a curtain rod where it can be covered. Make sure that there's not a bunch of energy passing through it. There's not going to be people who are going to be laying eyes on it, trying to touch it. Ooh, is this candy? Like, whatever. You don't want people coming near your shit. Keep it in a private space, because this ancestor altar is not, it's not just like your money altar, your love altar, whatever. This is where you're communicating with your family, okay? Your soul family, your ancestral family, and you want to make sure that there's not a lot of energy going on around it, okay? So if it's in a closet that you don't really use, that's a great space. You know, just, you know, figure it out for wherever your space is, but make sure it's not in your bedroom for obvious reasons, like having sex in your bedroom, getting changed, whatever. You don't want to have an altar right in your bedroom, right? You want to make sure that wherever their altar is, I mean, unless you know, like, again, like I said, if you have a studio apartment, you just want to make sure that it's closed off wherever you're doing this. So moving on the actual altar, what I would do is, I don't actually have an altar cloth for the space that I'm in, and I actually feel kind of nervous about having altar cloths, just because if you have candles, whatever, and things break, then it burns the cloth, and it's just like a whole fire hazard extra on top of it. So I don't have an altar cloth, but you can have an altar cloth, and I have seen a lot of people with altar cloths on their ancestor work, and this allows you to be able to wash it and all this other stuff. I don't have that. I don't know that that's like a deal breaker for ancestors, but it is traditional, and you do see that a lot in spiritual workings. So if that is something that's important to you, or you feel led to do that, go ahead and do that. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you how you can do it and how to apply it to your own, you know, spiritual workings. I'm going to talk about I'm going to go down a list, right, of all the things that are typically on an ancestor altar, and then we're going to talk about functionality, right? So typically there's a fresh glass of water on there, or any type of libation. Water and libation, which means liquor, alcohol, whatever. Specifically, even an alcohol that your ancestor, if you knew them, right, if they were alive in your life that you knew or that you know of, that they like a specific type of alcohol, typically rum and these different things, whatever culturally is appropriate for your ancestral group, whatever the case may be, you might want to put out something like that, especially if they were heavy drinkers. Tobacco is something that's also really coveted in you know, ancestor work. Things like tobacco, incense, frankincense, and things like that. You don't want to put incense that's like, you know, Sex on the Beach and strawberry lemonade and whatever the case may be. And I remember I was watching a video recently on Ancestor. You know, I've watched a couple of videos on it, and one of the ladies was like, you don't want to put an incense from some one of those, like, you know, the Jamaican incense guys that be on the subway or whatever, and they just have every single incense, the Obama incense, you know, and like just everything. You want to put something that's intentional and is meant to call in spirit and be a blessing to the good spirits that are going to be coming into the space, and keep away negative energies and spirits that you don't want, okay? So incense, tobacco, frankincense, those types of things are going to be really, really beneficial. Typically there is like a bell or some type of a way for you to communicate. I have a little tiny bell on my ancestor altar that I will ring to clear the energy, and also to call in, you know, the beginning, the opening of the meeting and the closing of the meeting. I will do the little bell, right? A white candle. I've seen white, I've seen blue. People do blue candles. And these candles are typically dressed with some type of ancestor oil or whatever the case may be, which I am going to talk about some ancestor oil and things of that nature. But you want to have a candle there. Typically it's a white candle, okay? And you will not keep this candle lit continuously. You will keep it lit when you are doing work at the altar, when you are talking and communicating with the altar. So you'll only really need one, and unless you want to continuously light this, maybe you're doing a specific working with your ancestor on a money or whatever the case may be, and you want to keep it lit, you know, that's up to you. But typically you'll have the candle there for when you actually are starting to do communication with them, and then you'll turn it off when the meeting is over, right? Fresh flowers. I think I said fresh flowers. Fresh flowers, but I didn't say it. I'm gonna say it again. Fresh flowers or plants, whatever the case may be, they need to be fresh. Meaning when they rot, they start to rot, or they do not let them rot on the altar. That is very, very important. Do not let them go bad or rot on the altar. The same thing goes for food, because people will put food on the altar, typically sweets, pastries, sometimes actual meals. I've put a full meal. I made fried chicken and some other biscuits and all sorts type of stuff, and I put it on the altar. You can only really leave it on there for a certain amount of time, so you just want to be mindful of that. And then when you dispose of it, I would put it out into nature. If it's not something that animals can eat, then, you know, consider cleansing it, thanking it for its time, and letting the ancestors know you're going to dispose of this and you're going to throw it in the trash can. But you're not throwing away their energy, you're not throwing away the good fortune and the blessings. You're just throwing this away because, you know, maybe you're not in a space where you can just leave, you know, chicken wings or whatever the case may be just out and about. You know, might bring bugs or whatever, I don't know. But just be mindful of that, okay? Never let any of the food or the flowers on your altar go bad, go rancid, okay? Make sure that you are keeping up with them, replacing the water in the flower vase, throwing them away when they're done, you know what I mean? And refreshing them. If you can't get fresh flowers, that's okay. You know, get them when you can, but just make sure that you never let anything rot or go bad on the altar. And this is, you want to think about it like this. Like, if you had your grandma or someone in your family come over to your house and you know, set some dead flowers down next to them, like, this is for you. Like, you know, it's just a little rude. And also it's like, it's not really like, awe-inspiring, and it's not really like, you know what I mean? Like, treat it like they were really here. Like, if I'm gonna make you a plate of food, I'm only gonna have that plate of food there maybe for 1 or 2 days, right? But it's not gonna go past that, because after a while that food's no longer fresh and it's no longer good. Now I can take that food and now let me tell you something like that. If you're gonna put food on the altar, do not eat the food, okay? Make sure that there's not any pets or anything else that are going to be there trying to eat the food. That food is now the ancestors' food. And the only people that get to eat that food, if you choose to put it outside, are the animals in nature that will take it and put it back into the earth, right? And it'll go back into Mother Earth. And that is the same to be said with anything, right? If you have flowers or whatever it is and you want to put them in your backyard and let the earth take them, that is a much better way than you trying to take them out there and put them someplace else in the house. Like, don't do that. It's for them, and the only time it should be given away is when it's no longer usable and is rotting, and you can give it back to Mother Nature. So please remember, you're not eating that food. Once that food's on the altar, it's theirs. You don't take food back. You don't take shit back from the ancestor altar, okay? And again, whatever food is going to be on the ancestor altar is going to be dependent on your culture, your heritage, maybe what that ancestor liked and enjoyed in their time. And I'm saying all this and I'm feeling like all this energy in the space, which is really beautiful. And I feel like they like that we're talking about this. So, and also sweets, things that are sweet. Candies, hard candies are really great because they don't go bad. Things of that nature, okay? And then other things are, you know, photos of people, right? Photos of your ancestors. So you want to make sure that if you're going to put photos up of any of your ancestors that you know or know of, it's only a picture of them. There are no living people in the photo with them, right? It's just them. And if there's people in the photo with them that you don't know, just cut those people out and put them, you know, tape it on the back of a white piece of paper and put, you know, that it should just be only them. You don't want to have pictures of your, you know, grandma, your great grandma, whatever, and they have a bunch of other people in the picture, or a picture of you with them in the picture. No, you only want them to be in it. No living people should be on, nothing that has any connection to a living person should be on your ancestor altar. These are for people who are passed on the other side, okay? I know people always say, oh, well, we're the ancestors now. I'm like, yeah, but not yet. You're not dead yet, okay? So right now you are playing the game, and the ancestors are here to assist you, okay? So don't put pictures of you on the ancestors, you know what I mean? Just don't do that, okay? So another thing that people will put on there, they'll also put on, you know, personal items or things from that ancestor. Like if it's your grandma or someone that you loved, you'll put personal items that they liked, you know, things that they liked. Maybe they liked little dollies or keychains, or maybe they, you know, there was a certain I don't know, like a certain type of crystal that they liked. You know, some people, I have a crystal there. It's an amethyst crystal, and I like it because I feel like it kind of intensifies the power between us, but it's also very beautiful, and it's like this kind of like flame thing. It's like it was almost like my gift to them. It was like, I want you to have this really beautiful thing. It could be gifts, offerings, and things of that nature. But you know, you could put things on there that feel right. Sometimes, you know, I found in my, you know, daily life, I found a feather, and it was right during a period of time that I was having a really hard time, and I felt like my ancestors were saying, put this feather on the ancestor altar so you always know that you're protected, you know. And so I placed it on the ancestor altar, and there might be things like that. It might come to you gradually. You might not know everything that you want to put on the ancestor altar immediately, but you might find that there are things later on that make sense, and also that your ancestors really, really like. So be open to receiving those messages, and also, you know, common sense. What kind of things that they like in their real life, you might want to put those things on there too, right? If they were into like art or whatever, like maybe you want to put little things that you've drawn, or what, you know, just things that they would like, things that would make a space really nice for them, right, when they come there. And don't make whatever your ancestor altar is, it's that ancestor altar. Don't have it compiled with your money altar and your love altar and this and that. It's their space, it's their room, it's their, you know, and make it cozy for them, make it fun, make it beautiful for them, and a space that they want to come to. Another thing that people will use is ancestor money, or hell notes. They call them hell notes, they call them joss paper, okay? And ancestor money is a you know, piece of paper. I don't have any right now. I need to re-up. That people in Chinese, I think it's Chinese, and I think it's Chinese or Japanese culture, that they will burn hell notes and joss paper as a way to send money and blessings to people in the afterlife. It's not regular money, okay? It's not real money like our physical world currency. It's specific, has symbols and all different types of stuff on it. Money that is sent to bless them in the afterlife, and be able to send them off with currency, spiritual currency, to either pay off karmic debts. A lot of times people use it when a person has just died. They will burn a ton of ancestor money, a ton of joss paper, to send them off with all this blessing. And also a lot of times too, that people will burn ancestor money as a way to ask them to bring money into, help bring money into their life, right? You know, a really great company that I really like, that I feel like I have the most success with when I use ancestor money, is a company called Galacticus. Galacticus, that's his name. I'm gonna link his shop down below so you guys can go check him out. He's a little bit pricey, but he has different types of joss paper that's been blessed and charged, and that you can use. And really, it's to access the celestial bank, to be able to pull in money for your ancestors that they can use in the afterlife, right? So just because maybe you're, you know, maybe you don't know if you have any Japanese or, excuse me, Chinese ancestors who, you know, will benefit from this, it doesn't mean that your ancestors cannot benefit from joss papers. And the Jade Emperor is usually depicted on the ancestor money, and he is very generous and very kind and very loving, and he definitely is a big staple when it comes to making ancestor money. So, you know, you want to acknowledge him as well when you go to burn this paper. And if you go to the website that I'm going to send you guys to for the ancestor money, he actually does a breakdown of his connection to the Jade Emperor, and also, you know, and this individual is a black man, you know, not to say that he doesn't have, you know, ancestors from every part of the world, but you see what I'm saying? He still is able to benefit from the power of ancestor money. It doesn't even matter that he is immediately an African American man. Again, I don't know his lineage, so I'm not going to sit here and speculate on that, but you see what I'm saying? Anyone can use ancestor money to benefit them, and a lot of cultures use this type of way of burning currency, spiritual currency, to send to the spirit realm to help them pay for karmic debts, to help them clear out karmic, you know, ancestral curses, break things off of them, you know, lack and all these other things that are kind of stopping and hindering people from being successful. And he has a lot of different types of ancestor money, and I would go on there and check it out and see what works for you, okay? And he also has a video on YouTube where he talks about how to burn ancestor money. Yeah, and it's really cool because when you burn it, it should turn green, like the flame should be green, and that's how you know it's real ancestor money and it's good ancestor money, and also that they have received it, right? Is when it burns green, and it's such a cool experience because, you know, if you've ever burned paper or whatever the case may be, it's usually like red, yellow, blue. It's never green like that. And to see something like that, it's like, it's almost like this green light, like the check went through. So it's really cool. Anyway, so yes, ancestor money, and yeah, that's it, okay? Now here are just some things that I think that we should keep in mind. You want to make sure that you set up a specific, a consistent routine of communication with your ancestors. So whether that be, you know, every morning before you start anything, you come to the ancestor altar, you say good morning, hi everyone, please give me guidance and, you know, communication throughout the day so I know that you're there. If you are just starting to do work with your ancestors, I would just merely and simply go to them and say, you know, start having a relationship, acknowledge them, hello, I thank you, I thank my ancestors and all ancestors who work in the highest divine light of love and who are here to assist me in my elevation and who have the best intentions for me. I thank you for being present in the space and for watching over and protecting me and providing love and support as I travel through my day. And I ask that you make yourself known to me and bring love and peace and protection into my life as we begin to build a bond. I ask that if there's any way that you can communicate with me in your own way, through dreams, visions, through little things here and there throughout the day, that please make yourself known. I'm reaching out to you, and I just want you to know that I see you, I acknowledge you, I honor you, and I love you. You know, bless you, amen, whatever the case may be, ashe, and then close the circle down, right? It doesn't have to be so formal, but it needs to be like, if you're starting to have a conversation and you want, it's like, imagine if it's a real person, if it's a real relative. You've never talked to this relative ever in your entire life, in your entire existence. It's not that they don't know that you exist, but you don't have a relationship with them. You're not gonna come and start asking them for favors, like, oh, can you send me some money? Can you do this for me? You're going to create a bond and start to get to know them and start to say like, hey, I just wanted to reach out and let you know, I know that you exist, right? And I exist, and I would like to form a connection with you, and I'm going to contact you again, and I'm going to keep being consistent with communication with you so that you understand that I am serious about this connection, and I seriously do want you as a part of my life. So if there's any way that you could reveal your you know, that you hear me, please let me know that you heard and you got this message, right? And maybe they text back like, hey, oh my gosh, thank you so much for reaching out, you know? Sometimes you may not hear from them for a while, okay? And especially if a person has just recently passed, it might not be as easy for them to communicate with you because they might be going through something in the spirit realm and they might be confused about what their new reality, right? So don't be discouraged if you don't hear something right away, if you don't get the signs and symbols and synchronicities. Sometimes it takes people years in the spirit realm, you know, years for us, and, you know, in the spirit realm it doesn't seem like years, to really be able to come to a space where they can be an ancestor that you can call on, okay? So just know that even if you don't have a photo of your ancestors or you don't know who these people are on a personal basis, it does not mean that they are not available to you, and it does not mean that they're not already assisting you and already helping you and already a part of your life. You may just need to find out what their language is, and you may need to create a bond with them where they feel comfortable to communicate with you directly and not indirectly. You know what I mean? So don't be discouraged if when you start to talk to them, you don't hear something from them first, like the first engagement or the first week or the first month. You want to give that time and that rapport, and you want to show them that you really are serious about having a connection with them, okay? And it doesn't just have to be when you're at their altar space. It could be any time of day and any time that you want to say thank you to them, or hello, or hi, or I'm checking in, okay? Just make sure that you are coming with pure intentions and authentic, and you're really speaking from your heart when you're communicating with them. And they're gonna feel that, and they're gonna receive that, and they're gonna know that you are really genuinely reaching out to them and that you really wanna have a connection with them. That is something that is felt and seen and understood even here in the physical realm. You want to apply those same types of understandings in the spiritual, okay? So set a schedule of communication that they can rely on. If it's once a week, if it's every day, if it's whatever. Make sure that you are consistent. Create this kind of flow with them so that they feel there's trust. And if there's something that happens where you can't do it that day, it's not gonna fuck it up, because you've already established this bond with them, and they already know that, you know, you guys are tight. You know what I mean? It's not that you don't want to spend time with them, but you know, they already have this communication with you. But if you're starting off, build a bond, okay? The next thing is make sure you cleanse your altar weekly, okay? I'm guilty of this. I have done it, and you know, I'm really bad about this when I'm having a hard time or having a hard week. It can be difficult, but this is very important, you guys. Cleanse your altar weekly, okay? That means fresh water. And I mean, because sometimes you get that little white ring around the glass or whatever. You want to cleanse the water, pour it out. You want to clean the glass, and you want to put fresh water, fill it all the way to the top on the altar. You might want to wipe down the altar if there's ashes and all types of stuff. Get rid of the ashes from the incense that you burned, or you know, whatever work that you were doing. Clear it away, you know, release it. Make sure that you're washed, you know, maybe you want to have a spritz of Florida water to just refresh the energy. Dust the pictures, like, you know, really refresh and renew the energy so that it can be, so they can feel like, ooh, start of a new week, start of a new energy, fresh, right? Fresh flowers, fresh everything. But make sure that you are cleansing the altar on a weekly basis, whether that be with Florida water. I'm going to be doing a video on making like ancestor or spirit, a spiritual water, so that you can connect to spirit, into the divine, spirit guides, ancestors, and you can use that water to wash your altar with to bring about more communication, connection. And I'm going to do a video on that pretty soon here. And then also you can use things like conjure oils or spell oils that allow you to access your spirit guides and your ancestors. Okay, so this is actually Kindred Spirit, and you can't really see. So this is Kindred Spirit, and this is actually from the honeyjar.us. And the honey jar is a conjure shop online. I actually work really closely with Nicole. She actually gave me this in a bundle with some other stuff that I'm going to be reviewing. But I actually really love this oil. It's fresh, it's clean, I really like it. Kind of has a little bit of a smell like rosemary, but also like frankincense. And it's meant to help you tap into, connect to kindred spirits, meaning your ancestors, okay? Another really great one is from, excuse me, you can't see it because the label is off, but this is, I think it's Psychic Reinforcement, and this is from Inexplicable Things. And this helps you to be able to connect more deeply to spirit, messages from the divine, and also to help with things like divination, okay? This, I would use a few drops of this in a spray bottle with some Florida water and spritz that over the altar, right? Any type of conjure oil or oil that's going to help you to connect to your ancestors specifically, that's programmed specifically for ancestral work. Add a few drops of that into some Florida water, spritz it and wipe down your table with it. So it's constantly being refreshed with this energy of this is a table, this is a space where my ancestors can come and communicate with me, okay? That's gonna be a great way to cleanse it. Yeah, and I said this before, I said don't always ask for shit, you know? Just sometimes just come to talk about your day, talk about what you've been doing, share something like a success, or, you know, what would you do with your grandparents, you know, if you know, what, you know, family members, you know, I've been forgetting to do this because I've been trying to like not have my phone with me when I come to have these meetings with my ancestors, but they've been asking me to play my album that I just released. They're like, we want to hear your music. Like, bring your phone one of these days, play the album, and let us sit in with you and listen to your songs. Like, you know what I mean? And that's just like such an amazing feeling to have your ancestors literally take interest in the things, you know, like things. And it's not like necessarily music that I would attribute to something that they would be interested in, but it's like, we want to hear it. We want to have a listening party with you. And I feel like also too, and I'm getting kind of emotional right now. Wow. I also feel like too, you know, my birthday was really, really rough and I had a really hard time. And I feel like they are also just trying to show me that, you know, like, we're always here. If you feel like there's no one here like to support you, and like, we're always here. We want to be a part of you sharing your music and your sound and your art and whatever it is, just as much as you would share it with your family and your friends. And I'm just getting a little emotional because I felt that, and I feel like I finally understand why they've been really asking me that for the last couple of days. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that I do that. And like I said again, like, just right now, like, that communication doesn't necessarily me sitting in front of the ancestor altar talking to them, but because I have this relationship and connection to them, I can hear that and know that and sense that in my being, that that's what's being said to me, and know that, you know, it's all love, right? And that they're really here listening to me, okay? I said no living people on the altar. We talked about that. No living people in the pictures. Keep your altar space where people aren't going to be, okay? You don't want people to like mess with it. If you have kids, keep it away from the kids unless you're going to be teaching them about the ancestral altar and respect. We don't put toys, we don't put trash, we don't put anything. It's not a table where you can set things down. It's not. That table is no longer available for any other use but ancestor use, okay? And so you want to make sure that you're differentiating that. Play music and sounds that they would like. You know, if your ancestors like jazz music or this or that, play the music that they like when you're there at the altar with them, okay? Just, we talked about music as well. You know, they wanted me to share my music, but play music that they're gonna like, that's gonna bring a positive vibration into the space while you're having your meeting. You know what I mean? Really make it like a beautiful thing for them. It doesn't have to be so formal where you're like, and great, and you know, you don't have to do all that. You can be real with them, but be respectful, and also show who you are. Like, you're a person too, and they are also entities and their spirits, and they were people too. So you want to have a connection with them, and you want to show up as your authentic self to them. So play some music that is, you know, something that they would be interested in, and something that you kind of like as well, and share in this space and make this ambiance almost as though you're being transported into another dimension, and they are sitting right in front of you, and you get to talk to them. What kind of music would you want to be playing in the background? You know what I mean? That's what you want to be focused on, okay? And my camera is about to die, so let's hope that we can maybe get through a few more of these. Make sure that you don't come to the altar right after sex. Cleanse yourself. I've also heard stuff about being on your period and making sure that you wash yourself before you start working with them, because blood is, you know, it has a lot of, you know, hot properties or whatever the case may be. I don't really know much about that. But yeah, you do want to come to the space at least clean. Like, what would you do if you just had sex and you're gonna go give your aunt or your grandma a hug and be hanging out with them? You haven't really cleansed yourself. So just kind of keep that in mind, right? Another thing is, so let's talk about connection, okay? And hopefully the camera doesn't die before I can get to this part. Connecting with your ancestors. Make sure that you are asking them to give you a sign of how they're going to be communicating with you. What's their sign? What's their symbol? And then when you start to get the signs and symbols, usually it's in your dreams, you can start to associate certain things with them. So ask for signs, ask for them to show up and make themselves known to you, okay? Give it time. You know, it takes a little bit of time. Like I said before, it takes time for them to show up. Don't rush the process. Allow them the time to get to know you so that you can get to know them, okay? Not all of your ancestors are ancestors that you want to work with. I'm going to just be honest. Not all of them are great. Not all of them are people you want to be hanging out in your space. Okay, so I'm back. I had to charge my camera and I changed into some warmer clothes. But like I was saying before, not all ancestors are ancestors you want to be calling in. And let me just explain that a little bit. In our ancestral lineage are people who are connected to us by blood. I'm sorry, let me just... Sorry. It just bothers me, like the symmetricness of everything, so... Just don't even mind me. Anyways, in your ancestral lineage, there are going to be people who did not live the best life, who are not the best influences, and who have a lot of karmic debt on them. Not all of them are people that you want to be interfacing with. And not all ancestral curses or generational curses are curses that were put on the family. Sometimes people do dealings and you don't know what they did in their life. And to associate with some people can mean associating with negative energies, entities, and opening up a portal to something that you really don't want to. So you want to be very clear on the type of ancestor that you're calling in. You want to call in ancestors that are in alignment with what it is that you're trying to do. So healers, magical people, witches, ancestors who are creatives, ancestors who are operating in the highest vibration of love and light, and who are here to assist your elevation, and who have positive vibration to give you and want to help you and bring love to you. Not anyone that has been dealing in low vibrational stuff, or just ancestors that really can't help you. You know what I mean? There are some ancestors that just don't have the type of power necessary to be able to help you. So you don't want all of them necessarily, but you want the ones that are going to be your biggest power allies. So just know, not all ancestors are ancestors you need to deal with. You want to make sure that you're specific about what ancestors you're calling into the space, okay? And once you've established that, then you know, you call on those ancestors and they come through. The ones that are the most powerful, the ones that have the best intention for you and for your life and for the you know, furthering of the lineage, and the ones that are going to be able to assist you in whatever work that you're doing, who are in alignment with who you are and what you are right now in this present lifetime, okay? Also, ancestors don't necessarily have to be people that you were related to by blood. So I have people on my ancestor altar who were family for me in this life, who passed on, who I put on to my ancestor altar. And I honor them as well as a way to, you know, connect with them and their energy. And, you know, my adoptive father, he was not, you know, obviously I'm adopted, so he's not my real biological father, but he's not any less my dad, you know what I mean? He's not any less someone that I see as a father figure in my life. And so losing him was hard for me, and keeping a space for him is very important for me because it's a reminder of the love that he shared with me. And I can see energy out of the corner of my eye, the love that he gave me and the love that he, you know, supplied me throughout my life. I mean, I remember when I was in college and I was auditioning for this acting academy, and I literally closed my eyes because I was so nervous, and I just started to sing, and I opened my eyes and I swear I saw my grandma and I saw him in the front row clapping and smiling at me. And that got me through the rest of the audition. And I just was so blessed to have him still in my life, you know. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you or blood related to be able to contact them and to claim them as ancestors. And sometimes people who pass on, they become our guardian angels in the afterlife, even though they weren't blood related to us. Our bonds, it's the soul connection, okay? So just remember that, keep that in mind. I know that there are some people out there who have people in their life that were like fathers and mothers to them, and in this previous life, or in this life, you know. And so you can put those people on your ancestor altar, and people that really were family for you and really connect to you still in this, you know, from the spirit realm, okay? So just know that. Make sure you protect yourself while you're doing any ancestor work. I think that goes without saying whenever you're working with any type of spirits, because you're opening the door for spiritual assistance and messages from the divine. You are kind of opening yourself up, right? But you want to make sure you protect your aura, you protect yourself. Make sure you, like, that's why we don't light Sex on the Beach incense. We light frankincense and myrrh and things that are not going to allow negative energies and entities to kind of enter the space. If you want to sage yourself, maybe you want to put some protection oil on your body, on the back of your neck, third eye, crown of your head, you know, your pulse points, bottom of your feet. You want to, you know, if you're going to be doing a cleansing situation before you take a shower or whatever, you just want to, like, you know, take a little bit of Florida water and kind of pour it on yourself and just clear your auric field, and then make sure that you seal it. Seal your aura, seal it and protect yourself. Whatever protection ritual that you do to kind of like honor and hold in your vibrational frequency, you're going to want to do that too before you start to kind of open up and channel and start to work with spirits and even your ancestors, okay? Because, you know, like I said, not all your ancestors are going to be ancestors that you want to work with, and you want to just make sure that you're protected and you're safe at all times. That's just rule of thumb. Stay protected, okay? And last but not least, you want to make sure whatever table that you're using for your ancestor altar, we talked about this, is now a part of this work, and it is not to be used for anything else. Please remember that we are not taking back things that we've given. You know, it's one thing if the table breaks or something happens and you have to get a new table, your ancestors will understand that. But if you just trade them out for a smaller table or a weaker table, you know, it's, you know what I mean? At least be upgrading them to something bigger and better. I think that that's the only appropriate time to switch them off of whatever they're doing, or if the table is broken or damaged or whatever the case may be, and you're getting them something better. But don't just toss them around from table to table. Give them a place to rest, a place to meet you. Make sure that they have their own space to be in, okay? As far as like rituals and ceremonies go, again, like I said, you want to establish a relationship with your ancestors. You don't want to just go into working with them and asking them for shit when they don't really know you like that, right? If somebody that some cousin that I never met in my entire life came out of nowhere like, hey cousin, like, I'm related to you by this and this and this and this and this. Can you send me about $300 in the mail? I really need some money right now. Thank you so much. And I only really saw them when they ever wanted something from me, you know, but they never really spent the time to get to know me or to establish a relationship. I'm not going to really be likely to answer their call next time, and I'm probably not going to be interested in helping them with anything that they ask me for, okay? So keep that in mind. You know, there's a way that we treat people in life, and there's a way that, and that's typically the same way that you would want to be treated, and that goes for spirits, right? You know, you don't need to be, these are your ancestors, right? You don't need to be so formal and stuff like that. But if you feel like that's where you want to be, then okay. If that's how you talk to your ancestors, okay. But if me and you are talking right now, right? We're talking, and if this was a live conversation, I'd be talking to you. There is going to be a difference, right, between that and how I talk to my ancestors. But it's the only difference is the way that you present yourself in front of them from your truest heart, right? From the pure place within you that really does want to connect and that really does want to feel supported. And literally, as I'm saying this, I feel that love, right? I feel this like loving hand on my back, just kind of like, we love you, we're here. And I think that, you know, even for me, and I love that you guys wanted to learn about ancestor work, because a lot of people ask me about it a lot, and I don't really talk about it a lot because of my own situations, but especially recently, I've been feeling very, very much connected to my ancestors, and I've been feeling very much like they have been coming forward for me. I think another really great way to connect with them is to do divination, right? So when you have your meetings with them, maybe you want to bring in, maybe you want to buy a deck of cards that you only use to communicate with them. Maybe that's like, maybe that could be a way that you know, start to talk to them, because you maybe have an issue, you know, you don't, maybe you're not somebody who's clairvoyant or clairaudient or whatever the case may be, and you really need something there. You might want to use divination tools. So maybe on your altar you have a crystal pendulum that you use as a way to connect and communicate with them, right? Maybe you have a specific deck of cards that you only use when you talk to them, and it stays there on the altar, okay? So they are the ancestor tarot cards that are only used with communicating with the ancestors. So you see what I'm saying? You can have some type of divination tool there that you can use as a way of a gateway of communication, kind of like picking up the cell phone, or, you know, texting, or, you know, emailing, or whatever that you use to connect with them. And that could be a greater way to kind of pull that energy in, okay? But I would say really follow your heart with it and really trust yourself, because at the end of the day, what your ancestors are going to ask you to do is going to be something that's unique to you, your lineage, your culture, your relationship to them, what you're going through at that time in your life, what you need to know, what you need to hear. So, you know, I can give you the basics of ways of to just kind of start this, but really you want to remember that at the end of the day, this is really about your connection with them. And that's something that no one can tell you how to do or how to have. It's like when you have a connection with the divine, like, people can kind of give you advice about it, but they really can't speak on your connection, because it's really about you, and it's really customized to be something that fits your life. So just remember that when you're doing this work, and don't get so overwhelmed with all these things that I've said, especially when you're making the altar. Don't get overwhelmed. If you can only do a glass of water, a white candle, you know, maybe you have a little bit of like a shot glass of some alcohol, or a glass of alcohol or liquor, and some tobacco, and you burn the tobacco, you burn a cigar or whatever, and you blow the smoke over the, you know, or you only have frankincense incense that you like, well, you know, the stick incense or whatever that you light, you know, and that's all you can do right now, then that's all you need to be worried about. Don't worry about going out and buying a bunch of stuff here and there. You're gonna accumulate more things as time progresses, but the most important part is your energy, your intention, and you really coming from a place of pure love and honestly wanting to connect and having a relationship. They are going to receive that and appreciate that and love that more than any item that you're going to put there, because it's you deeply desiring to have a connection with them. And this is why I say having an altar is great, and you want to have that portal, right, that control panel, but at the same time, you don't have to be there in that space to talk to them. You don't have to go to the altar every time you want to have a conversation with your ancestors. You could be out someplace, and you need to call on the energy of your ancestors, and you don't have time to run home really quick, sit at the altar and meditate for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? It's not all one size fits all, but you do need to get a flow and a routine going so that you can actually really start to lean in on that. So I think that's it, unless the ancestors would like me to say something to you guys. Keep your feet firmly planted in the earth when you speak to us. Be grounded when you speak to us. Whatever is going on in your life at that moment and that time, make sure that you become present so that you can hear us. And very often people do not want to be still. They don't want to quiet their minds. So they miss the messages that we're sending. And remember that we love you. We understand that you're human, that you make mistakes, and that you don't always understand how to connect with us. There's forgiveness. There's forgiveness there. Remember that we are here to assist you. Do not put us above you. Do not praise us above you and your own power. We work together We are here to serve you as you serve the collective. Be at peace when you come to us. All right, you guys. Okay. Oh, I hear another one. We are always listening. We are always listening. So whenever you want to speak, speak it. Speak it aloud. Open your mouth and call to your power ancestors. You may not always know the language, but the soul always knows what's being said. I keep hearing quick questioning if those messages are from us. Quit questioning them. Trust. Divine timing is always in alignment with where we are and what is going to happen, and so that we have to trust that when we ask questions, when we ask our ancestors to give us guidance, that they are also in alignment with that divine timing. And so they are not going to rush something, rush in information if it is not time for you to know that information. So you pull cards, or you do candle work, or whatever the case may be, and you're reaching for answers, and you come to us. If it is not in alignment with divine timing for you to know that information, we are not going to be the way that you cheat yourself out of the experience. Do not use us as a cheat code. That's funny. Ancestral trauma can always be worked through. It's meant to be worked through. Don't get hung up on it. Every day that you live and make choices that are for the betterment of you and your heart and your mission and your life, you are working through the ancestral trauma. Every day that you choose love and you choose healing, you are working through the ancestral trauma. Don't be panicked about curses and all these things. Do your work and know that as time progresses, your ancestors, the ancestors, we will show you what needs to be done to break the bonds. Trust. So yeah, that is it, you guys. I think the only thing that I would say too, there are specific days of the year that you can like connect more deeply, and that is, you know, All Hallows Eve. Halloween is a really big one, and I think the other one is, I don't know what the other one is. I can't remember, but I will write it down in the comment section if I remember it. Where the portal is opened and you're able to have easier access. And so you want to make sure that you take advantage of those times as well. Not just, you know, every day you want to take advantage of it, but that's when the portal is really, really thin, and you can maybe have contact with some loved ones who maybe aren't necessarily your power ancestors, but who are just people that you want to talk to. That veil is open, and that's a good time to step in and speak to them and say, hey, what's up? And check in with them. So access those specific hotspot times where the gateway is open and you can kind of have an easier way of communicating. Okay. I hope that was an informative video. I was not expecting for anything to come in the middle of that. I wasn't expecting for my ancestors to come in and speak, but I hope that was what you needed to hear, and I hope that was beneficial for someone. And again, thank you guys so much for giving me some ideas, because I've had so many things that I've been doing, and I have so many ideas that I want to do that I'm like, maybe I should just kind of let you guys pick. And I think that that's how it's going to be for the rest of this time, because it might be easier for me to make content if I know what it is that you guys want to learn about. Okay, so if you guys have any more questions, if you want me to elaborate on some stuff, let me know. Go in the comment section, talk to me about what it is that you're working on right now when it comes to ancestor work. And then I wanted to let you guys know again, my class is going to be next week on Monday, but you can still purchase tickets. These so my camera died again, but I just wanted to remind you guys that tickets are still available for my Glamour Magic course. You will receive this tray as well as some other goodies in the collection. If you're interested in that, go to my website, theglamourwitch.com. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Be blessed.
Pull out the candles, pull out the crystals, pull out the recipe.